Hello everyone, welcome back to Econ Insights, where we break down the big economic stories that shape our world. Today, we're diving into a topic that's been making headlines for years: the impact of trade wars on the economy. Have you ever wondered why countries slap tariffs on each other, and what that really means for jobs, prices, and global growth? Stick around, because we're about to unpack it all in a way that's easy to understand. Let's get started. First off, what exactly is a trade war? Well, it's essentially a tit-for-tat battle between countries, where they impose tariffs, quotas, or other barriers on each other's goods and services. Think of it like two neighbors arguing over a fence, except here, the fence is made of taxes, and the argument can cost billions. These conflicts often start with one nation trying to protect its industries from foreign competition or to address perceived unfair practices, like dumping cheap products or stealing intellectual property. Now, let's talk about the immediate effects on the economy. One of the most obvious impacts is on prices. When tariffs go up, imported goods become more expensive. For consumers, that means higher costs at the store, whether it's for electronics, clothing, or even your morning coffee. Businesses feel the pinch too. They might have to pay more for raw materials, which can squeeze their profits or force them to raise prices. If foreign competitors are priced out, local companies could see a boost in sales and even hire more workers. So, in the short term, trade wars can create winners and losers right at home. Take the U.S.-China trade war that kicked off in 2018, for example. The U.S. imposed tariffs on hundreds of billions of dollars worth of Chinese goods, citing issues like trade imbalances and technology theft. China retaliated with its own tariffs on American products like soybeans and pork. What happened? American farmers lost big export markets, leading to government bailouts worth billions. Meanwhile, some U.S. manufacturers, especially in steel and aluminum, saw a revival as imports dropped. But overall, studies from places like the Federal Reserve showed that the tariffs cost American households an extra $800 a year on average. That's real money coming out of your pocket. Beyond prices and jobs, trade wars ripple through global supply chains. In our interconnected world, products aren't made in just one country anymore. A smartphone might have parts from a dozen nations. When barriers go up, companies scramble to reroute their operations, maybe shifting factories to Vietnam or Mexico to avoid tariffs. This reshoring or nearshoring can create new opportunities in those countries, but it also disrupts efficiency. That's not a huge number, but when you're talking trillions of dollars, it adds up fast. And let's not forget about inflation and interest rates. Trade wars can fuel inflation by driving up costs, which might prompt central banks to hike rates to cool things down. Higher rates mean more expensive loans for homes, cars, and businesses, potentially leading to slower investment and even recessions if things spiral. On the positive side, though, some argue that trade wars force innovation. When access to cheap imports is cut off, companies invest in new technologies or better processes to stay competitive. It's like a tough workout for the economy, painful in the moment, but potentially stronger in the long run. Of course, the impacts aren't just economic, they spill into politics and society too. Trade wars can strain international relationships, leading to broader conflicts or alliances shifting. Remember how the US and Europe clashed over steel tariffs in the early 2000s? It took years to resolve, and it affected everything from diplomacy to environmental agreements. For developing countries, these wars can be devastating. They often get caught in the crossfire, losing access to markets or facing volatile commodity prices. So, what's the big takeaway? Trade wars might seem like a way to protect national interests, but they often come with hefty costs. They can safeguard certain jobs and industries, sure, but at the expense of higher prices, disrupted supply chains, and slower global growth. History shows us that cooperation, through deals like the Do-2 or bilateral agreements, tends to benefit everyone more in the end. As we look ahead, with tensions still simmering between major powers, it's crucial for leaders to weigh these impacts carefully. What do you think? Have trade wars affected your wallet or your job? Drop a comment below and let's discuss. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe for more econ deep dives, and bye-bye.